What is going on? It's Alex coming back at you with another video, and today we're going to be breaking down Trevor Sikkema's brand new 2025 NFL mock draft. If you are new, feel free to like, comment, and subscribe. Below my face is my board. It's very unique, but it's based off of my all-22 grades. It's always changing based on guys who are updating, as well as watching for the first time. So you can always watch that as a fun little side series, but below that are all the great ways to get involved in the community. Go to that link tree. It's 2 clicks away from going to anywhere you want, including our #1 sponsor, UnderDog Fantasy, who takes care of me, takes care of you guys. Great company. You get up to $1,000 in bonus cash when you sign up. I get $60. So we're trying to do a shorter video. I wanted to do a trades mock draft, but we're doing that tomorrow. We're going to see how the overhead light works. You guys know I'm still recovering from a car crash, still under concussion protocol, but I'm really tired of looking like a damn ghost in all of my videos. So let's roll. Start out with the #1 overall pick. We got Cam Ward going to the Panthers. Cam Ward is the most likely quarterback to go first. I'm not really fully sold on the Panthers having to go quarterback. I mean, it's obvious they should, but at #1 overall, I'm not really sold that Cam Ward is on that Jaden, Caleb, May, and Nick's tier. You can argue that Nick's tier, but of course, you know, again, there's also JJ McCarthy as well as Michael Penix. I don't really know where I'd feel comfortable stacking Cam Ward in those groups, but you know, Cam Ward is a very talented player. He is the most high ceiling of the class, in my opinion, based on the probability that he will hit his ceiling. So I do think the Panthers should be looking for a QB. #1 overall in a class that I don't really fully trust. I would say maybe I would pump the brakes. Continuing on to the #2 overall pick, the Titans go after Shedeur Sanders. So similar argument to #1. I do think the Titans can be looking at quarterback, but again, this is the class where I don't think a quarterback is worth #1 or #2. I know this is a prediction, and I'm sure that Trevor, based on the fact that the PFF simulator is a reflection of his board, does not believe that these players are #1 and #2. But the quarterback gets overly inflated. There's a reason why we're seeing a lot of quarterbacks that are put in poor situations or overdrafted end up failing. It's because the NFL is inflating a position that I don't think they're comfortable being able to handle. There's a lot of quarterbacks that do well, but we're seeing a multitude of quarterbacks that are just simply not working out, and they're being drafted higher than their actual talent level suggests because, we're focusing on return on investment, and we're thinking quarterback is a high return on investment position if you get it right. Now, it's the lowest return on investment position if you get it semi-wrong, because if they're not a legitimate quality starting quarterback, you're looking for a replacement. So I do think that that should start being focused a little bit more on, but Shedeur Sanders, highest floor quarterback for the Titans. Maybe getting a high floor quarterback is the best way to go. Patriots go T-Mac, Tetairoa McMillan, and getting more weapons for Drake May. I don't think Drake's going to complain. I personally would be looking at that left tackle spot, but I also know there is some controversy over the quality of the left tackles or whether the left tackles are actually tackles in this class. The Jets then go Mason Graham at #4. It's a pick I've made multiple times. You get some extra punchiness on the defensive interior next to Quinn Williams. At #5, the Jaguars go after Travis Hunter here. I think that's a perfectly fine move, especially when there are rumors that, at least for the trade deadline, but even if there are rumors, it's maybe not a full level of faith in Christian Kirk being moved. So I would say that this would be a perfect replacement for the long run, and Travis Hunter is an absolute freak show, so I love what he can bring to Jacksonville. The Saints then go Nick Scorton. I think that his size and athletic ability leans into what New Orleans has drafted in the past, so I don't think this is out of the realm of possibility. It makes sense if Chase Young doesn't want to be there next year. It is a big position to address. Jalen Milroe goes at 7 to the Raiders. Super high ceiling, but I'm not there yet personally with going after Jalen Milroe because as a passer, he's just so underdeveloped. You look at that Georgia game and you're going to be let down by him as a passer. Probably the most dynamic player since maybe Lamar Jackson as a runner from the quarterback position that is NFL quarterback starting worthy in terms of the conversation at the least. So I think that he could certainly end up in the right situation being an absolute stud, but I don't think you can rely on his arm based on the fact that his placement is so inconsistent. I think that primarily, I wouldn't call him a dual threat just based on the fact that he's probably going to be just primarily a running asset with that big playability, potentially leaking in with the arm. But again, ball placement's super key in the NFL. It's no longer can you throw it to where it's catchable. It's can you throw it into the tight window. And I'm not sure Jalen Milroe just yet has it, and I'm a big Jalen Milroe fan. Pick number 8, the Browns go Luther Burden. I think that's perfectly fine. It'll be Elijah Moore. I said Elijah Moore replacement. I think that's perfectly reasonable, and it actually works really well with Cedric Tillman there as well. The Dolphins then go after Kelvin Banks Jr. I think that he can play guard or tackle. I like the flexibility there for sure. Pick number 10, you got the Giants going Garrett Nussmeier. So the Nuss bus is certainly very entertaining. I think that his high-level play rivals the best in the class, if not is the best in the class. His high-level throws are honestly jaw-dropping, and if you can make that more consistent, that is a starting NFL quarterback. The question is, can you? I don't know. The decision-making is a bit spotty with him, but honestly, again, those high-level throws are just insane. If you can make it work, he actually might be the best return on investment in the class. Then you got the Bengals going Abdul Carter. I think that his size profile is enough to be able to warrant it. Of course, we talk about Joseph Asai back in the day being drafted to the Bengals, so he doesn't really fit their larger edge profile. Abdul Carter's close enough to 260 as it is, to where if they wanted to add a little bit of size to him, I think it would work out just fine. I do like Abdul Carter a ton, though. Cowboys go Ashton Jeanty. It's the dream fit. You guys know how much I do love that. At number 13 for the Rams, they go Will Johnson. He's had some knee issues, which is why he's probably down here, but at the same time, he is my number 1 player for a reason. I think he's an absolute stud, and I honestly think that the injury bug is getting him a little bit more than what we actually are factoring in. Pick number 14, the Colts go Malachi Starks, a pick I've made a billion times. I love the flexibility, and I just love the high floor talent. Pick number 15, the Buccaneers go James Pierce. James Pierce is a very reliable edge rusher. He had a slow start to the year, but man, he's heated up, and he feels so similar to Dallas Turner in terms of being able to play much larger than he is, and being able to play the run far better than what his actual frame suggests. The Seahawks then snipe Will Campbell, who can play tackle or guard. I love that for him because you get that flexibility with that super high floor. Of course, Will Campbell does need to be reevaluated for this past week, but that's obviously something that will be happening in time. Number 17, the Niners go Cam Williams. The dream fit, very raw player who needs that coaching up from Trent Williams. I think that would be the best possible outcome for Mr. Williams. Then the Bears go Wyatt Milam. I don't think he will end up being a tackle. I'm trying to see if he actually ends up being listed as a guard in here, but the arm length, there certainly is a concern. He is going to end up being a guard or a tackle, depending on if the Bears can actually see him being of tackle length, but he's been a fantastic player so far this year. Then you got the Cardinals going Omar Norman Lott. Very interesting. I do love seeing the Tennessee guys getting a ton of love here. He's popped up on my list quite a few times. Obviously, over 20% pass rush win rate is fantastic. The defensive interior for Tennessee has been absolutely baller. Love seeing the name. Haven't fully evaluated him. He is now on the list. Pick number 20 for the Chargers, Kenneth Grant. Perfect system fit. A position that they need, a position they've been needing. So I do love that all of that comes together at pick 20. Emeka Egbuka goes to the Broncos at 21. Good after the catch. Kind of like if you can't get Luther Burden and still are set on a wide receiver, this might be the one that fits the best. The Broncos are having a very solid season this year. I don't understand personally how they're able to pull it off to that degree, even though I personally thought they were better talent-wise than what I wanted to give him credit for. At pick number 22, the Falcons go Mykel Williams. Mykel is a fantastic player. He's going to be staying in Georgia. He has a ton of untapped potential. If you could bring back Matt Judon, that's going to be someone who could be a really good mentor to Mykel, who needs to have that polish. Baltimore Ravens can then go Shavon Ravel. I don't think corner 2 is going to be the biggest position to address. However, if you can end up sniping a player like Shavon, who has that 6'3 frame, who has the deep speed that you're looking for, has a lot of the same traits as Nate Wiggins at a bigger frame, it could end up paying off really large dividends in the long run. At number 24, the Eagles go Jack Sawyer. This is going to be a direct replacement for Josh Sweat, but I personally am not fully sold on Jack Sawyer. Again, that's just personally me. But I think that Jack Sawyer is a very high motor player who's improved year after year after year. Every year he's improved a minimum of 5 points ever since I've graded him. So that's somebody I do like seeing in terms of their projection upwards. The Steelers then go Isaiah Bond. I'd be perfectly fine with this. He plays on the outside as well. You don't have to worry about I mean, to be fair, Roman Wilson hasn't even been healthy this year, but you won't have to worry about competition in the slot. And Isaiah Bond has a ton of talent if he can end up remaining healthy. The Vikings then go after Ben Morrison, a player who I personally continue keeping off my mock drafts just because he's a junior, and I personally think that he would be a top 10 selection if he were healthy. Just had a little bit of a pretty mediocre year. The Bills then go Walter Nolan, defensive interior out of Ole Miss. I love Walter Nolan. He's a super punchy defensive interior that the Bills would absolutely love to add, and adds a new level of pass rush that I don't really think they have in terms of consistency. And it's amazing to see Walter Nolan get to the heights that he has this year. He was kind of a little bit underwhelming at Texas A&M, and that's kind of a common theme, unfortunately. A lot of these guys just not reaching their full potential there. But at Ole Miss, next to J.J. Peggy's, I really do think that he is totally flourished into the player that we think he could be in the NFL. Next to Ed Oliver, I could totally see this being a very similar situation. Green Bay Packers then go Tyleik Williams, a high-level run defense interior who also, very similar to Texas A&M, doesn't get the proper training at Ohio State. It's a hot take, but for me, I personally do not believe in the development of Ohio State for their defensive interiors as pass rushers. I think that they'll be better in the NFL. The Commanders then go Arianti Urzuri. Perfectly fine with this one. You can kick into guard if need be as well, but you get yourself a high-quality run blocker who's improved leagues as a pass blocker this year. The Commanders end up getting themselves a damn good one. Texans go after a guard replacement in Tate Ratledge. You get the highest floor guy. You don't need to get flashy with it. Tate Ratledge is exactly that. I think this is perfect. Great fit. If you're not going defensive interior, I think that's perfectly fine. The Lions going LT Overton makes a ton of sense. He's unbelievably well built at 283 pounds. And he's going to be perfect across from Aiden Hutchinson, who's going to be coming back from that unfortunately gruesome leg injury. And ending off the mock, we got the Chiefs sniping Josh Simmons. You guys see where Josh Simmons was before his season-ending injury. Fell in love with him, and I think this would be a fantastic move for the Chiefs. You can end up playing guard if need be. I do think he could end up being a Trey Smith replacement, but if you want to put him at tackle, which would be a better return on investment, then that could work as well. My head is slightly killing me from this light, so I don't know if we're going to be able to continue this tomorrow. We're going to have to monitor how it is, but I love you. See you on the far side. Peace.